Is it hard to live and breathe cancer all the time? And yes, it's hard when we lose people we love, but at the end of the day, it's my community. Hi, my name is Katrina. I'm a mom, daughter, sister, friend, and I've heard the words, "You have cancer," 5 times in 21 years. So I was a military girl. My dad was in the United States Air Force, and we moved a bit. Neither of my parents had had cancer. I knew that my dad's mom had died. She had cancer of the female type because back then they didn't do all the testing and we didn't really know exactly where it originated. Of course, now we are pretty sure she was BRCA1 because I do carry that genetic mutation, as does my dad. I remember this lump that was on my left breast, like, my mind did not go to cancer, but something in me was like, you need to just go get it checked. So I called that Monday morning and they actually got me in, and I went in that afternoon. And I remember going in and he felt it and he said, "I really think it's nothing. You're very young, you're fit. I don't think it's anything, but since you're here, we'll go get a mammogram and a sonogram." And they said, "It's a fluid-filled cyst, you're fine. Just, don't worry about it." So I left, but 2 or 3 months went by and it was still there. And I would, be taking a shower and I would feel it. So I called again and I said, "This lump is still here. It's in the same spot. I feel like it's getting bigger." He said, "Okay, why don't you come back in and we'll do a biopsy." So I went back in and I went to a breast surgeon and they did the FNA, it's called fine needle aspiration. And I remember even the surgeon saying, "When it's cancer, it's hard when I put the needle in, but in your case, it doesn't feel that way. It's a very soft core. I really think it's nothing." So now I've heard I really think it's nothing, like from 3 different times. And 2 days later, I got the phone call and he said, "You have breast cancer." If someone comes in with a lump, they need to be taken seriously. I just hear more and more of these early stage diagnoses, and unfortunately, women are getting diagnosed stage 4 the first time, and I don't know if it's because they went in and someone didn't take them seriously or they were told not to worry. It's so concerning that if I had not gone back in 3 months after I found that first lump at 28 years old, I wouldn't have gotten diagnosed at stage 1. I was triple negative breast cancer. It's the hardest to treat, fastest growing, and something pushed me to go back. And if I hadn't gone back, I wouldn't be here today. In 2002 was my first diagnosis of breast cancer. And 3 years later, in 2005, the oncologist who was following me was pushing me to get genetic testing done. And I did it, and I found out that I was BRCA1 positive. So in 2005, I ended up doing a double mastectomy. I had all the breast tissue removed. 10 years later, in 2015, I find a lump on my right breast, on like this lower quadrant. And I remember calling my doctor and saying, "I found a lump." And again, I heard, "It's probably nothing. You've had a double mastectomy, but let's check it out." So I went for a core biopsy and it was cancer. They said, "We have no protocol for you." Because I'd already had the breast tissue removed. Now I have a lump. I had the lump removed. They did a full capsulectomy. They took my implants out, put new implants in, and I went on my way. 1 year later, almost to the day, in May of 2016, I found a lump on the right breast in the same spot. So this time nobody said it's probably nothing. It was a 6-millimeter tumor. So now in my mind, for a year, this tumor's been growing. Like, where else is it? I think the second diagnosis and the third were way harder because now I have these little people. I'm a single parent, and what if something happens to me? I want to be here when my daughter gets married one day. I want to, be here when my kids have their first child. I want to see like the person they end up loving and being with, and the job they end up having where they're happy. I want to see them and know that they're okay. And then fast forward to 2018 and 2019, I had a melanoma diagnosis on my leg. One was on kind of the front of my calf, and then one was on the back of my calf, stage 1. So 5 times I've heard the words, "You have cancer." The sad thing is that there are patients who are going in who don't know. They haven't had 5 diagnoses. They don't work in advocacy. They don't know. And if a doctor tells them, "You're fine, go home," they're not going to go back. And guess what? Now they're metastatic. They're stage 4. It's really upsetting. Still to this day, it's why I do the job I do at Pfizer. It's why I'm such a strong patient advocate, because I believe that when we hear someone else's story that touches us and impacts us because it's similar to our own, we can relate to it. It brings peace. It brings, some kind of understanding. I talk to people who are in the middle of their battle, who are stage 4, who have had several diagnoses, who have started nonprofits because of their diagnosis. I'm surrounded by it, and some people ask me, is it hard to live and breathe cancer all the time? And yes, it's hard when we lose people we love and we care for, who are out fighting and being advocates to try to find better care for other people. But at the end of the day, it's my community. And I'm just grateful that patients trust me to be their voice, and that Pfizer trusts me to be their voice, if you will. When I think about a legacy, right, it's how I'm remembered. I would want people to think of me as someone who was bright, who found a way to tackle some pretty tough stuff and come out on the other side and try to be a sense of joy, for people. Strong. My daughter and my son, they're my living legacy, and they have that same strength. My daughter's been through a lot of stuff. She had a brain tumor last year. It was benign. Thank God. It's I wish that never happened. I wish none of her other health stuff had ever happened, but it did. And she's the epitome of strength and grace, and I watch her, and I just think that's how I want to be known. I hope she got that from me. I'm Katrina. This is my life, and this is my legacy.